This is Bhaskar. I'm having 15 plus years of IT experience. I started my career with traditional ETL tools. Later, I got an opportunity to work for Microsoft. I worked for 8 years for them with different technologies. I adopted Azure Data Factory, Azure Databricks, and Microsoft Power BI. And currently, I'm working for one of the Indian-based company as a senior data engineer with Microsoft Fabric and Azure Databricks. So this is all about me, and I'm going to talk about today what we are going to cover as part of Microsoft Fabric and why people are talking about this Fabric for a couple of months or 3 to 4 months, something like that. And even Microsoft is branding this particular product is like anything for doing a data processing. Okay, so previously, even from Microsoft, we were having different services in order to do the data processing. So I'm just going to give some brief idea about it, why Microsoft introduced Fabric for doing data processing and for data analytics. So in general, if I wanted to do data processing, we required some services. And previously also we used to call as a Azure Data Engineers. So previously we were called as a Azure Data Engineers. Of course, now also we are having in the market. So now we are going to call few of the roles that we are having is Fabric Data Engineers. Fabric Data Engineers, we're having it. Okay. So what are the roles that we were used to do with the Azure Data Engineer and why Microsoft is branding a Fabric Data Engineers? And even they start previously, we were having a certification called a DP203 for doing a data engineer. So data engineers associate certification was there with the DP 203, and now it was retired. I think March end of the March it was retired, and now they have a certification for data engineers is DP 700. So DP 700 is there. So there will be no much differences, I feel personally, but in working point of view, there may be slight difference, and the platform will be different. They reduced many administration activities when you compare with Azure Data Engineer role and Fabric Data Engineer role. So what these people are going to do basically, they are going to do the data processing. So their main role of these two responsibilities, I mean, for these two roles, the people used to do data processing. Okay, so we used to do the data processing. Even now, we have a more and more openings with the Azure data engineers in the market. They already existed. Even I'm working as a more on Azure platform, and we have just started working with the Fabric. I mean, in recently I joined in another new company almost 8 months ago, and they are migrating few of the projects towards to the Fabric. Okay, and I wanted to give one clarity here. There are more openings with even Azure Data Engineer, and there are more resources also. Let's say, for example, if I have 100 openings, I have 1,000 resources here. But when you go here, if I have 100 resources, I may not have even 100 resources. If I have 100 openings, you may not have 100 resources also, because they wanted to particularly see Fabric Data Engineers. They don't want to have completely Azure Data Engineers. So either Azure Data Engineer has to migrate towards to the Fabric Data Engineers, or some companies they're going to say completely purely on Fabric Data Engineers. So this is the place where we are going to fit. We have a more openings and we have a less resources. So this is one of the best choice if you wanted to work as a Fabric Data Engineer. I mean, if you wanted to work as a data engineer, at the end of the day, we are going to say we are all data engineers only. Either you may use Azure platform or Fabric platform or any other platform, we are going to be treated as a data engineers. So I hope you're following with me. There are slight difference between these two roles, but not much differences. If you already work with Azure Data Engineer, then you feel that there is a slight difference. Okay, so that is not going to be much more difference. And why Microsoft Fabric is branding this is like they have a complete a product to provide the solution for your big data end to end. So when you go for Azure Data Engineer, they have to depend on the Azure Databricks. They have to depend on the Azure Databricks if they wanted to go for this platform. So they don't want to depend on someone else. They wanted to have their own product for end to end to provide the solution for big data. So because of that reason, Microsoft is branding the service like anything. So that is one thing I wanted to say. And what do you mean by data processing? Where exactly we are going to do the data processing? How this data is going to be started? First, you need to have some idea about it. So I feel most of you may be not having any experience with any ETL processing. If you are not having any idea about ETL processing, then I just wanted to go little basic level because this course is designed for the people who are not even aware of anything with the data processing. Okay, so when you go for any business in the market, if you take any business in the market, so what happens is how this business is going to run in general. Okay, so let me take a sip. I'm a user. Okay, I'm a user, and this user wanted to order a product in Amazon. This user wants to order a product in Amazon. How this user is going to order a product? So most of you are aware of it. Okay, so they're going to use, they're going to use a portal or they're going to use mobile application. At any cost, they're going to order a product. So when any customer is ordering a product, they're going to fill few details inside that. For example, they're going to fill like customer details they're going to keep, right? When you go for any product, customer details also you have to provide because in order to deliver the product to the customer details are required. Okay, and apart from that, customer details means even apart from the customer, address details also is required. Okay, and what else is required? Product details is required. You have to define what products you required, how much quantity required. And payment details, you're going to do it. You're going to provide the payment details in order to complete the transaction. And you're going to do this transaction at some point of time. For every transaction in the business, you're going to have a date and time also. Date and time details. So I just captured few things here. You may have a more and more when you go for transaction. In the same way, if you go for bank, if you do a transaction in the bank, you're going to have a source account details and target account details. You're going to have a source account details and target account details and how much amount you're going to transfer. And that particular transaction is going to be happen at some point of time. So these details are going to be captured by your Amazon, your business application, any business in the market if you take. So those details, once they capture, they're going to keep those details inside the database. In the database, they're going to keep it. With business application, they're going to feed the data into the into the database. So this kind of systems, we can call it as a OLTP system. Online transactional processing system. In this entire world, we are not going to be part of this. It is not related to us. But why it is important is because we are going to pull the data from the OLTP systems, online transactional processing system. So this entire work will be done by application developers and database developers. And they're going to feed the data into this system. From here, our journey is going to start. From OLTP system, our actual journey is going to start in order to do the data processing. So if you wanted to do the data processing, how exactly we used to do data processing. I mean, in traditional approach, how actually we process the data. How actually we process the data is the same business system I'm taking as a source. Whatever the business system is there in any business, that is a source for your data engineers. That is a source for your data engineers. Now, I wanted to say your source may be having a single database, or you may have a multiple databases also. So in my case, presently we are working with Oracle. Okay, so let's say a DB1 I'm saying, and this is going to be a DB2. All these two databases are there in one single server. We used to connect with the one single server. Okay, so this particular server or a system, we can say, as I said, we are going to call this as a business system, or we can also call this as a OLTP system, online transactional processing system. So this is the place all the business data is going to sit into this particular system. In general, you may have a data in a single database, or you may have a data in a multiple databases also. So that's going to be happen in everyone's experience. So even in my case also, we are having more 20 different databases. We are having it. So I'm working with the three different data sources on often, not completely with three will not go parallelly, but here and there I used to work. Okay, so depends on your role, it is going to be happen. Now I have a data here. So why we need a data engineers is the data engineers are responsible to bring the data from here, and they're going to shape it. And once they save, they're going to give the report to they're going to give a data to the reporting team, because reporting team is going to create a reports, and they're going to give a reports to the business to take the business decisions. So now the question is how exactly we are going to read the data from here by using Microsoft Fabric. So I don't want to go for traditional way of data processing. That's not required for us. I'm just going to talk about specific to Fabric, how exactly we are going to do the data processing. Your business system is having the data is like this. On-prem, we are having on-prem or anything it is going to be happen. So from here, I wanted to bring the data and I wanted to keep the data into my target. So as part of your Fabric, we are going to have lakehouse. We are going to use target. We are going to use the target as a lakehouse. Now, how can you bring the data from here to here? Who is going to bring the data from a business systems to lakehouse? Okay, so what is the lakehouse and how we can create a lakehouse, how we can feed the data into the lakehouse? I mean, how we are going to load the data into the lakehouse, we are going to see that. In order to bring the data from here, we need to ingest it. We need to ingest the data. So in order to ingest from Microsoft Fabric, we are going to use a data pipelines. We are going to use a data pipelines. The process of bringing data from any kind of source system it is. Your Fabric is going to support more different data sources. I feel it is having more than 100 different connectors we are having to bring the data from the business system. So that I'm going to show you how exactly we are going to have a different connectors. If my source system is Oracle, I'm going to use the Oracle connector to connect to the source system, and I'm going to use this data pipeline to read and write the data into the target. So in the initial stage, we are just going to dump the data into the lakehouse. We are not going to do any transformation, and we are just going to feed the data into the target. So the process of extracting the data from any business system, we can call it as a extraction. We are extracting the data. We are extracting the data without writing the code. We are not going to write the code here. And then we are not doing any transformation by using data pipelines. By using data pipelines, 99% is we are not going to do the data transformation. We are going to do the data ingestion. We are going to do the data ingestion. And once you extracted the data, and then I'm going to feed the data into the target. The process of feeding the data into the target, I wanted to say it is loading. This entire process, we can call it as a data ingestion. This entire process, I wanted to call it as a data ingestion. I hope everyone is clear. How we are going to do it, we'll see at the time of your practical executions. Okay, so I just wanted to say, by using Microsoft Fabric, we are going to handle a data ingestion. Okay, so there are many data ingestion services in the market. Why Microsoft products are famous for or familiar for data ingestion is, or data ingestion, or even now data transformation, is because it is going to be completely mostly user interface. When it comes to this data pipelines, it is 100% is no coding. 100% is no coding. Okay, so we are going to have a expressions, not a codings. That is what I mean to say here. It's like a if you take any traditional ETL tools in the market, you can feel in the similar way. Like you can feel like your Informatica if you have experience with Informatica, or you can feel if you have experience with SSIS, you can feel in the similar approach. So this entire process that I wanted to call as a data ingestion. Now, after doing a data ingestion is one of the primary role as a data engineer. And the another role, and very, very important, without this, we will never get a job. So that is data transformation. All data engineers are going to do only two activities. One is data ingestion and other is data transformation. These two activities only people are going to do it. Other than this, there will be no activity. Only these two. Okay, so under this we will be having many. Under this we will be having many. At the very higher level, I wanted to say we are going to be responsible for data ingestion and we are going to be responsible for data transformation. Now, in order to do the data transformation, how exactly we are going to do it? How we are going to handle it? Now, this is going to be source for the second stage. For the first stage, your business systems are the sources, and for the second stage, your lakehouse is going to be source system. And from here, the medallion architecture is going to come into the picture. So medallion architecture is going to be defined with bronze, silver, and gold. These three layers are going to be introduced as part of the data transformation. And we can also call this as a landing. The data is going to land from the source systems. How we can land the data into the lakehouse, we are going to see it. This lakehouse, basically, it will be there with the AWS Gen 2. So we don't care about how it was designed, how it was created. We are going to be very much care how we are going to use this lakehouse as part of our journey. Now, I wanted to take how we are going to do the data transformation here is, the first part I wanted to say notebook. We are going to use the notebook here in order to do the data transformation. Apart from that, apart from the notebook, we have a data flow Gen 2. Apart from the notebook, I have a data flow Gen 2. So there are limitations are there for data flow Gen 2, when to use and how to use. Okay, so if it comes to me, if I have a less volume of data, I go with the data flow. If you have a more and more volume of data, I do not recommend you to go for data flow Gen 2. The cost is going to be little more. For development point of view, it may be very easy, but for customer point of view, is not recommended. So we are going to see what do you mean by data flow Gen 2 and how we are going to do as part of our Microsoft Fabric. But for working point of view, I recommended to take a notebook to do the data transformation. So the same thing we are going to do here also. We are going to extract the data from the data lake, lake house. The process of taking from here, we can call it as the extraction. We are going to extract the data. And once we extracted from here, then we are going to use the notebook to do the data transformation. So to do the data transformation, we are going to use the notebook. In this particular notebook, we are going to use, let me say at higher level, I wanted to say transformation. We are going to do the transformation. These transformations are going to be happen. These transformations are going to be happen. Let me reduce the size. So in order to do the data transformation here, we are going to use PySpark. Maybe you may come across this term, PySpark. What is this PySpark? Or do you have experience on PySpark? Something like that. Okay, so this is very, very important in order to do the data transformation. And Microsoft itself have their own product to do the data transformation. We don't need to depend on the Databricks. So previously, Microsoft also depended on Databricks to do the data transformation. They associated with the Databricks. Because of that reason, we used to call that particular product as a Azure Databricks. So since Microsoft itself have their own product, in order to write the PySpark code to do the data transformation, and we can call that as a notebook. Okay, so we are calling that as a notebook as part of the Fabric. Our product name is Fabric. Under one umbrella, we have a varieties of the products. I'll keep all these points. Now, by using this, we can do a data transformation. After doing the data transformation by using this, to where you are going to load the data. We are going to load the data into, basically we are going to load the data into Fabric data warehouse. Fabric warehouse or Fabric data warehouse, we can call any name, but we are going to store the data into this place. So in order to load the data, we are going to write what? We are going to write a notebook. We are going to create a notebook to load the data into the Fabric warehouse or Fabric data warehouse. So the process of feeding the data into this particular place, we can call it as a loading. So this is how the data is going to be loaded. And this particular layer, we can call it as a bronze layer. We are going to call this layer as a bronze layer. The data is going to come from the landing zone to bronze. And here it is going to be like a table. And here it is going to be like a file. And we can also have a table, but there are many limitations are there when it is there as a table. So all the stuff we are going to come across as part of this. Now we loaded the data. Okay, so why we are going to load into the branches as it is, whatever is there here, the same thing that we are going to bring into this place. Now I told you we are going to use medallion architecture when you go for doing a data transformation. The second phase that we are going to do is data transformation. So in order to bring the data into another layer, we are going to use this branch as a source system. The branch is going to be source. For same, we are going to use 90%. If you ask me, I say 100%. We are going to use a notebook from this layer. Okay, so we are going to read the data from the bronze layer, and then we are going to feed the data into the same, we are going to use same fabric data warehouse. But this time we are going to call this as a silver layer. So what we are going to do when data is moving from bronze layer to silver layer, we are going to apply data cleansing operations. We are going to apply data cleansing operations. So this is going to be same extraction, transformation, unloading. It repeats the
Excuse
same
me,
thing.
sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good evening, all. Someone joined with the name of admin. Could you please rename yourself? And Prabhakar Garu and Raman Garu, could you please share your numbers? We don't have your numbers. That's it, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Guys, please respond to her. Admin. You can unmute yourself. Okay, so please rename your display name. It will be helpful for them. Lavan, you can see the number, he said. That's fine. Now, the data is going to be moved from bronze layer to silver layer. So how it is going to be happen is by using the notebook only. The same PySpark code you are going to write it here. The same PySpark code we are going to write. Okay, so let me. It's not required. I hope you people can understand. Whatever is there here, the same thing is going to be repeated in all the layers under the data transformation. So while moving data from the bronze layer to silver layer, we are going to apply a data cleansing operations. So what do you mean by data cleansing operations and how you're going to do it will come across in our regular sessions. And still we have not yet completed a data transformation, data processing. We have a one more layer under the medallion architecture. As a silver is going to be source, and again we are going to use the notebook. Again, you are going to use the notebook to read the data from the silver layer. And you're going to load the data into the target. The target is going to be your fabric data warehouse you're going to have. And in this particular case, we can say this is the goal layer. Okay, so in my project, previously we were having this many layers. So what we did is recently, a year ago, we decommissioned this bronze layer. Okay, so we brought directly from here to here. Okay, by avoiding this, we reduce the cost also. It's all depends on the architecture is going to be happen. Okay, so if architect is interested to have a bronze layer as per the medallion, then definitely he's going to keep it. If the customer is not much more interested with the bronze over the period of time, then you may migrate directly towards to the silver layer. Okay, so after this gold, again we have a different layers. Like basically from we are calling the silver as a curator. In my project we are calling them curated, and this one we are calling as enterprise, and we are also having data mart also. We have a different layers. It all depends on the architect. From here to here it will move the data, and from here to here data will move. Okay, so it all depends, but more or less in the same kind of approach you're going to do. In all the way, we are going to use only a Databricks notebook, or we can say a notebook from the fabric.